Hello and welcome. We're coming to you live at our special time from the Republican National Convention in St. Paul, Minnesota. Now, America's image overseas has taken a beating under the Bush administration, so the foreign policy experience of the U.S. presidential candidates has been an issue throughout the campaign. Democratic Senator Barack Obama silenced his critics by choosing veteran Senator Joe Biden as his running mate, while the experienced Senator John McCain on the Republican side shocked the pundits by choosing the relatively unknown governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin, as his vice presidential pick. On this show, we talk with voters representing various ethnic groups in America, many of whom are closely watching to see what the next resident of the White House will do to change the U.S.'s image through foreign policy. Joining me here from a fairly quiet Republican convention is Dr. Joel Strom, a delegate from California and past president of the Republican Jewish Coalition. Also joining us is George Andrews, executive director of the Orange County Republican Party. He's also California's co-chair for Asian Americans for McCain. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you both here. Now, the Republican Party's traditional voter base has been white, church-going males, and I wonder, what it's been doing to try to diversify in that respect. And George Andrews, if I could start with you, your county is actually the most Republican in the country, isn't it?
Yeah, we in 2004 and 2000, we delivered the largest vote margin of victory for George W. Bush. Out of usually urban counties, traditionally don't vote Republican, but Orange County is an exception.
So, Dr. Strom, how is the party changing to try and be more inclusive?
I think you can see it here at the convention. I think over the years you've seen far more inclusion of not only ethnic minorities, but also just in terms of the philosophical differences that we've had as a party, and I believe that we're the big tent party.
Now, of course, the arrival of Hurricane Gustav has to some degree disrupted things here at the RNC, the opening day at least, and I know proceedings closed a little early. Also, to some degree, it's provided some media distraction from the gossip and questions about the vice presidential candidate, Sarah Palin, and her child and everything else. Now, how has the message, due to what's been happening in the news, how has the message at the RNC changed?
I wouldn't say that the message really changed. I think that our party is an American party. We're a unity party. We serve our country. And I think that this has given us the ability to articulate that. I think it focuses viewers and convention goers on that aspect of our party, and I'm very proud of that.
And George Andrews, is it significant, the fact that President Bush doesn't make an appearance at this event?
Well, priorities are first. What's happening in Louisiana and the Gulf states is the #1 priority for President Bush, and his duties as president are paramount to anything that happens here.
Dr. Strom, I've got to ask you on this issue of, as we're looking at in this show at the various groups that are voting. I know you don't like to think of there being in America such things as Jewish voters or a Jewish bloc as such, do you?
Yeah, I tend to. We're all Americans. I believe that in my ideal world that there are no hyphenated names. We have no hyphenated groups. That we're all Americans, and so I disdain that fact in today's world of politics. And I realize that we have a way to go. So that might be something that's necessary at the present moment.
And yet that diversity is often used in the campaigning to describe where certain groups might vote, where they might align themselves. And I wonder to what degree, if you look at it from a Jewish perspective, if you like, taking into account what you've just said, how important are foreign policy issues to the voting bloc that would be considered a Jewish voting bloc?
I mean, just to preface my remarks, I think that Jews are not unique in their issues. I think that most Jews consider the same issues that most Republicans consider, and I think that national security probably tops that list. I don't think that would vary much for most groups in the Republican Party.
Well, let's get in a call from Nigeria. We have Omar on the line. Omar, what would you like to ask?
Hello, how are you?
Hi. Good. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask a question about what do you think makes McCain pick a woman as his running mate?
Okay, I'll put this to George Andrews. What makes Senator McCain pick a woman as his running mate?
In campaign management, you want to try to bring communities together, and obviously with the Democrat Party not choosing Senator Clinton, there is a huge voting bloc that they've alienated, and I think that the pick of Governor Palin will definitely help us out in terms of mobilizing women for Senator McCain.
Now, George, a lot of, traditionally, a lot of the minority groups, if you like, or various diverse groups of America, tend to side certainly in the polls, towards the Democratic Party. And I wonder what it is that would prompt Indo-Americans to vote for the Republicans.
Well, I mean, my family, and usually you see with other Indian Americans, is that we're family oriented. Asian culture in general, we're very family oriented, and the nuclear family is key. And for example, in California, there's a Proposition 8, where we're making marriage between a man and woman the only form of marriage, and the Republican Party, California Republican Party, has endorsed that, and Democrats have not taken any leadership in terms of protecting the nuclear family. And as an Indian American, I grew up with family values, and the values of the Republican Party very much align with what I believe in.
Are you at all concerned what seems to be a lack of representation of Indian Americans in certainly the administration, in American politics in general? It's a powerful and wealthy community in many ways, and yet doesn't play a big part, active part in politics.
Well, I strongly disagree with that. For example, Governor Jindal of Louisiana, he's the highest-ranking Indian out there, and
First one as well, though.
Yeah, he's the first governor, and there's about 2.6 million Indian Americans in the United States, and absolutely we need more representation in Congress. But the Republican Party, we're working hard with various ethnic groups, specifically in Orange County. We're investing a lot of time and energy with the Vietnamese community and the Latino community in that area. So resources are going there to educate the public about what our values are.
It's good to hear from Nigeria again. We've got Edward on the line. Edward, what would you like to ask?
Yes, thanks, Riz. First of all, let me say I'm a keen watcher of your program, and I think you've been doing a very good job. I just want to know why the Republicans are being such hypocrites when it comes to the issue of the teenage pregnancy of the Republican vice presidential nominee's daughter. Considering that they said are all Christian conservative, they seem to be making excuses rather than going to the point and saying that we've been watching with keen interest from Nigeria, and we believe that if it was the other way around, the Republicans got to town on this. I would like to hear their comments on this.
Thank you very much, Edward. If I could put that to you, Dr. Strom, the issue of the gossip, I mean, it's bound to come up, of vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin. Our viewer is saying there's a certain amount of hypocrisy regarding the way it's being handled from the Republican side. What would you suggest? What would be a way to handle it so that that there isn't this accusation?
Well, you're going to have accusations all across the political spectrum. And I think this is a very new revelation. Most people haven't had a chance to digest it. So it's difficult to make it would be premature of me to talk about how Republicans would handle that. And it's important to us that we have candidates that are honest. I think more than anything else is we all know we're imperfect human beings. Senator McCain said that. Senator Obama has said that. I mean, we're imperfect human beings. And the most important thing is that the person we want to be our vice president herself is living a life of honesty, integrity, and we all believe that that's a description of Governor Palin.
A lot of people feel that foreign policy is not that important to the American community. It tends to look, I mean, of course, the economy has taken a big position here in this election, but what foreign policy issues in particular are you concerned with? And do you think the people you sort of represent would be concerned with?
I would disagree with that assertion. I believe that many Republicans consider national security on top of the list. People are concerned about the economy, but we understand how integral national security is to our economy. And national security also brings us into issues like energy security and border security. And if you were to talk to most delegates on the floor, I think you'd find that those three issues intertwine are the number 1, 2, and 3 issues that you'll talk about.
We've got Nigeria on the line again. Nasser is with us. Nasser, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Riz.
Hi, Nasser. Good to have
you. Hello. Yeah,
Hi,
good
go
morning.
ahead, please.
My question is, why is it that the foreign policy only favors the developing countries? They're not talking about African countries. Is it that African countries, we are not talking about our economy is not boosted, or what? When you talk about foreign policy, all the two candidates are talking about the developing countries. So we are not getting any favorable response from them. Why is it so? That's
Okay.
my question.
Let me ask that. George Andrews, is Africa being missed? That's what our viewer is suggesting in terms of foreign policy concerns.
Well, I mean, in terms of my experiences, in terms of what H-1B visas are a major issue, and Senator McCain has talked about expanding H-1B visas based on economic trends and making sure that waiting for visas don't take 20 years. Like, for example, my family, it took them nearly 15 years to get their visa, and Senator McCain, in his immigration reform policy, wants to try to expand that. So, you know, there are opportunities when you come to America, and we want to make sure that America is open for the world.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much, gentlemen. We have to end it there as we take a break. But George Andrews and Dr. Joel
Thank you
Strom,
very much.
thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
George.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, after the break, we'll be joined by leaders from the Arab American and Latino community. But first, we asked our viewers around the world what they wanted from a U.S. president, and this is what they had to say.
I'd like to see next President Barack Obama doing his best to solve the problem in the Middle East, the crisis between Israel and the Palestinians, by taking both sides in Camp David for a while, not to leave anybody out there, only in round table, until there is a solution. I know that's not probably something I'm imagining, but it is achievable.
Look at our situation today. The forces of more than 35 countries are here, but still Afghani children cannot go to school safely. So I would like the next president to be honest in his words and deeds, because they all say they want to help the people of Afghanistan.